what does God want us to know? Basically these are the first words. In fact, I'm going to be just tracking through the book of Revelation. I don't know if you have a paper copy or you're using your Logos copy. It doesn't really matter to me, but the first verse is the essence of the book. And so it's the revelation of Jesus Christ. Apocalypsis means see clearly. Actually, it's the word for unveiling. When I was little, my father worked for General Motors for 46 years, building cars. He made the bumpers, the design for them, ground them out of metal. And once a year, they'd have the Detroit Auto Show, and they would cover up the newest models with tarps or sheets or something. And on TV, they would pull the sheet off, and you'd see the newest whatever version of whatever car you wanted to buy, and everyone was excited, and it would be on TV. That's the word apocalypsis, something that's covered up, that you pull off the covering and it's clearly seen for the first time. So God says, I want to help you clearly see Jesus Christ. And the book of Revelation says, the book of Revelation is God sending this picture of Christ. So it all of a sudden makes the whole book very unique. To show his servants. So we're getting into brand new territory. There's no other book of the Bible that God sent to Jesus to give to us. It's unique of all the books of the Bible. That's why it's at the end. That's why it's a whole genre of literature. But the reason for it is this. Now, you've already studied or are going to study the book of Hebrews. The opening verses of Hebrews are fantastic. Look at this. God, who at various times in various ways spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days. Now the Bible defines when the last days are. They're the times when Christ came to earth and onward. So we're in the last days. If people mock you and say, you're not in the last days, in fact, I get comments all the time online. We're not in the last days. In fact, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the most amazing event happened. Everyone got scared around the world. It's a global event. People are scared. They're worried that Russia's going to do something, maybe even send missiles toward Europe or us. And so people started watching prophetic videos, which I have a lot of them online, and they started commenting saying, we're not in the last days. We are in the last days, according to God, not according to them, because those people define life by themselves. But God says, in these last days he's spoken by his Son, whom he, that's God the Father, appointed heir of all things. So God the Father appointed Jesus to be heir of all things, through whom he also made the worlds. God made the worlds through Christ. We know that. Paul said, by him were all things created that are in heaven and earth and under the earth, Colossians 1:15 and 16 and 17. So Jesus is the creator. Jesus is the heir of all things. But look what else. He is the brightness of God's glory. And I made it in yellow, the express image of God's person. A great Bible teacher of generations ago, his name was W.A. Criswell, the pastor of First Baptist Church. If you've ever heard of Billy Graham, he went to church. He was a member of that church. So it was this massive Dallas church. Criswell was kind of the granddaddy of all the Bible expositors. He taught through the Bible one verse at a time and was very good at it. And when he got to this verse, he says, you know what? The only God you'll ever see is Jesus Christ. When you get to heaven, you're not going to see three gods walking around up there. There is one God in three persons, but two of them are invisible. They're spirits. One has been incarnated into visible flesh to be seen. That's Jesus Christ. And so the way we understand the invisible God, the Father, is to see, look at this, the express image of his person, Jesus Christ. And upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. That's God the Father. Then look what Jesus says in John 14:9. The disciples were struggling with all this too. They were saying, how do we know what God the Father looks like if he's invisible? And Jesus says, have I been with you so long that you do not know me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father, so how can you say, show us the Father? He said, if you see me clearly, you'll see God the Father clearly. That's fascinating for this book we're studying. And then it ends with the part everybody's interested in. The first verse is why the book of Revelation is so contested. the things which must shortly take place. That's the future. That's the map of the future. So that's the book of Revelation.